got the brightness all the way up. I still can't see shit. It's a cloudy day today too. I should probably turn my volume off on my other phone. I don't know why it keeps giving me these things. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna leave my volume up just a little so I can hear it no matter what. You never know when there's an important call that might come in. I shut my volume off when I'm sleeping. Some people don't like it. It's like, well, what if there's an emergency? Well, then leave a message. Interesting. Be right back. Yeah, just take a moment out for right now. I think I'm gonna raise that up a little. One, two, three on the tripod. Three on the tree. Let's see if I could drop this down at all. I got this little. Hey, what's going on, Crystal? Welcome back. Today's not Valentine's Day. I don't think it is anywhere in the world, actually. But I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't celebrate. I don't really think there's any holidays I celebrate anymore. I used to just celebrate Thanksgiving, but I found out that was actually memorializing a massacre of a bunch of Indians and not the story they told us. Oh well. I usually put beard oil in my beard, and this is the first time I tried some beard wax. I just made my own. I mixed in beard oil with lanolin and, gave it this beard wax. It's supposed to kind of hold the shape better, because even with the beard oil, I get these flares of my beard flares out in the side, and I don't really like it flaring out. But the beard wax, I guess, I move my head around, the beard starts to flare out again, and the wax holds it in the flare. So whatever. I'm not. I got a perfect face for radio. That's what I've been told all my life. Um, I actually don't celebrate my birthday, but I recognize it. I don't not recognize it, and people wish me a happy birthday, but I tell people we only have one birthday. All the rest are anniversaries. It's true. Yeah, there's only one day you're born in your whole life, so how can you celebrate? But no, yeah. I just celebrated my 55th anniversary of my birthday just last week, actually. Yeah, I'm just having a little bit of coffee and take a smoke break before I get back to the firewood. All that work. I got a wood pile, firewood to do. There's my log splitter right there. I got another log splitter too. That handle, that orange handle, is a log splitter. This one, man, I've been using that thing for 20 years. This one I just bought 2 years ago, and I like it. I like it good. It's a Fiskars. Wearing it out. You just picked up a new rifle. Cool. What kind of rifle did you get? Yeah, so I got all these logs to split. I'm trying to get through them all today. Just this pile here. But then I got a whole pile of logs over there. And then I've already split this whole pile here. It goes back. quite a ways actually. That's probably about 20 foot long, 3.5, 4 foot tall, 12 foot wide at least. And then I got this other one that's 12 foot wide and it's already at least 12 foot long. Getting there. There you go to the back there, but it kind of humps up. 243 Savage Maple. No, this is all oak. Yeah, this is all red oak. There may be some black oak mingled in with it. I know there's some white oak, and not a lot, but man, oh man, that white oak. Yeah, there's some white oak right there. That's white oak bark. It's a little more flaky. There's some white oak right there in that pile. But almost all of it's red oak. I had 18 trees die on my property this year. Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing any cherry wood this year. But I actually like both. Yeah, yeah. What red oak is really dense and it's good. It's good tasting. Good tasting. As I was looking at my coffee, I was saying it's good tasting. Oh boy. Red oak doesn't taste good. I actually don't even like cooking with it. It's better than cooking with, charcoal, but you cook with wood, you want the nut wood or the fruit wood. So any apples or cherries or chestnuts or, pecan, mesquite, oak, hickory, those are, your normal smoking or cooking woods. They add a really good flavor to the food. Oak is okay, it's not that good. I use almost all cherry. I got cherry and apple. That's about all I do anymore for my smoking and my cooking. So 243 Savage. Most of the Savages I've seen have composite stocks. Is that a composite stock or is that? I've seen some wood stocks on them before. Is it bolt action or is it semi? Yeah, Applewood's good. Up here in upstate New York, we use a lot of cherry. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of cherry around here. My property, not so much because, I've got some. I probably got 30 cherry trees or maybe 50. I've got just less than an acre of wooded land, or right around an acre of wooded land, and just less than an acre, less than 2 acres total. And it's almost all oak, and now that the oak has been dying off, sassafras is coming up. In fact, I think I'm going to start doing this harvest of sassafras, like just about anywhere I go. Here's a cherry tree that got torn up. It'll probably regrow, but it got torn up with a drop I had to do. And this is a sassafras tree I had to cut to get out of my way, dropping another oak tree. But yeah, here's sassafras right here. Sassafras, 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 sassafras. I got it all over the place. That sassafras, all these little ones, just about all of them are all sassafras. And then I get closer to the road where I've cut down a whole bunch of trees. And there is probably 500 to 1,000 sassafras trees. And so they're kind of a nuisance here, but sassafras root bark is selling for, last I checked, $90 per pound. So I might go ahead and harvest a whole bunch. The time to harvest is actually coming up. It's in about 2 weeks should be the prime time to get most of the saffrol inside of the bark. The late winter, early spring, when it begins to draw moisture from the ground and put it up in there, is when it starts producing the most saffrol. I got a composite stop bolt action. For the price, I couldn't say no. Oh yeah, dude, $400 with a scope for a Savage. Savage is a good. Savage arms are good arms, and the bolt action, you know, it does give a little bit better accuracy. What do you hunt with that? 243. I'm thinking in some states you might be able to deer hunt with it. I don't think you can here in Indiana, upstate New York. Or do you hunt? I mean, I'm making an assumption that you hunt just by asking you. I hunt with a bow and arrow. That's what I do. I shoot deer, mostly deer hunt. I've killed a bunch of rabbits with a bow and arrow too, but mostly deer. I've killed some squirrels with the bow and arrow. Small game, it's kind of fun, but you know, personally, when I spend the money into archery equipment and you know to deer hunt, I want to get meat, and there's not a lot of meat in a squirrel, and there's not a lot of meat in a rabbit. But I've actually mostly just killed the squirrels and the rabbits when I was at the end of my deer hunt and there was no deer around, and took a squirrel, took a rabbit, because it's like, well, I'm going to go home with something. Mainly those two, whitetail and coyote. Cool. Yeah, I got a Ruger. I got a bunch of Ruger 1022s, but that's what I got, one that's set up that I use just for squirrel hunting. And I don't really do a lot of squirrel hunting anymore. I kind of got wore out on eating squirrel meat. The young ones, they're okay. The old ones, even in the stew pot, they're just not that good. It was kind of funny this year. I was sitting in a tree stand. I don't know. Have you ever done any saddle hunting? That's what I like to do, saddle hunt. So I'm sitting in my saddle, actually, right over here on my little less than 2 acre lot, and I might even have it in the, yeah, I do have it in the frame. There was two squirrels. Were they on this one? Oh, I think they were on that branch, right up there. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of like wonky. It's in line with the tree almost, but that branch right there, and they were yearling squirrels. You know, they were the like babies that year, last year. And I couldn't believe it because it's not mating season in the fall for squirrels that I know of. But man, oh man, that little boy was chasing that girl around, and she was like, you know, flirting with him and teasing him, and then caught up with him. He was just banging the shit out of her while I was up on the tree watching. I'm like, I ain't never seen that. I've been hunting for 20 years. I ain't never seen in the fall time squirrels banging. But he was pounding that stuff like a rabbit. I don't know if you ever seen rabbits go, but yeah, it's just. I've yet to get into stands. I'm a big fella. Oh, okay. Well, if you can climb a ladder, that's kind of the test right there. If you can climb a ladder, you can get into a saddle. And saddle hunting's easier than getting into a ladder stand. It really is. You've got a waist belt that wraps around the tree. You can lean your weight back on it and take a break if you're climbing and you're having trouble. But I actually wouldn't even recommend people get into hunting unless they've got some kind of physical conditioning, just because you get a deer and you got to drag it out, or you got to get a cart, you still got to get it, push it through the woods. At least here in Indiana, you know, public land, they don't let you take any four-wheelers out to go pick up your deer. They'll make you walk 1.75 miles dragging your deer, even though they got access roads. They won't let you take a four-wheeler out there. They won't let you take a electric bike out there. But to me, it's not a big deal. But to some people, it is. You know, I've been physically fit my whole life. Just been very active. I've always been athletic and been into anything that challenges me physically is something I've really enjoyed. But yeah, I think that they should make concessions for people to be able to get their deer. I haven't hunted I haven't got purchased a hunting license in I think 3 or 4 years now because the DNR Nazis have just decided. I raised my sons to obey the laws, you know, just for the Lord's sake and for the sake of peace in, you know, society. Just obey the laws, you know. And so I taught them, you know, even when nobody else is watching, God's watching. Just you know, watch what you do. Just do right by God, do right by men. And DNR cops, man, they're fucking Gestapos. They don't give a shit about anybody except their own careers and advancing it and looking for arrests. And I had a DNR cop got angry because I found a loophole. Talk about walking a great distance. I had to literally walk 1.75 miles to get to this place I hunt from the parking place. But I found an obscure law in Indiana where you could park on the roadway on the highway. You literally take up an entire lane of traffic parking there. If you're in a rural area, you're no commercial. It can't be commercial. It can't be residential. You can't be blocking anybody. I mean, there's restrictions to it, but you can't be blocking anybody's drive in and out of a farm field or in and out of a driveway or anything. And oncoming traffic has to be able to see you at least 200 yards ahead on either side. You know, oncoming and well, on both sides of lanes of traffic. And so it was a perfect spot. I saved myself about a little over 3/4 mile, just under a mile walking to be able to park there. But even still, I parked off of the road. And the DNR don't like that because they want you parking in their parking spot so that they can harass you personally. That's why they do it. And they got all these signs up on their property that says parking only in designated areas. Oh, that's fine if you're on their property, but I wasn't on their property. I hunted the property, but I wasn't on their property parking. And after a hunt, me and my son uh, had come back to the truck and put our equipment back in the truck, and we get in the truck and get ready to start it up, and all of a sudden here comes DNR behind me, lighting me up. And I told my son, he was 17 at the time, I said, start recording. And I pull out my phone and we both started video recording the cops. And I stepped out of the vehicle and immediately showed him my camera. I'm not clandestinely, I'm, you know, recording. I'm showing him. I'm like conspicuously showing him that I'm recording him. And I said, is there a problem? Because I hadn't broken any laws and he had no legal right to stop me or detain me. And whenever they turn them cherries on, you're detained. You are not free to go. And so I asked him, I said, is there a problem? And he said, oh, I'm just doing a welfare check to make sure you're okay. That's an excuse the Supreme Court gave him to be able to start harassing you. And I said, yeah, everything's fine. And then he starts asking investigatory questions. Hey, were you hunting back there? Dude, I said, dude, I'm not going to answer any of your questions. I know what they're all about. You're trying to find out if you can have any reason to run my name. Fuck off. I didn't say fuck off. I was very, very cordial, very kind to him. And then he started asking my son questions. Then he's bouncing questions back to me. And he was upset because I wasn't answering his questions. And after I caught him in 3 different lies or 4 different lies, I finally said, are you going to, what did I say? I said, am I being detained or am I free to leave? And he goes, oh, no, you're free to go. I said, okay, thanks. And I got back in the truck and waited over 10 minutes before he was not moving. So then I decided I was going to go pull a U-turn and head back home. As soon as I pass him, he does a U-turn and gets right up on my ass and follows me for 4 miles. Pulls me over about 4 miles down the road for a minor traffic infraction vehicle. My, what do you call it, tag light wasn't bright enough. And I was like, really, dude? And he gave me a ticket. And I said, dude, couldn't you just give me a warning? And he's like, when he handed me the ticket, and I was recording it too. handed me a ticket. He says, I believe you were hunting back there without a license. And I was like, really? That's retaliatory. You're giving me a ticket for this, which is something they don't normally do, in retaliation because I wouldn't submit my or forfeit my Fourth Amendment rights to him so that he could run my name. That's why. They don't like it when you know their legal boundaries. And they will violate the law. And they'll lie on the reports and they'll lie in the courts. Indiana. Okay, oh yeah, I dragged a spike a mile out of the woods last fall. It was a struggle. Dude, yeah. Heck yeah, dude, a spike. I mean, what's that, 120-pound buck, 110-pound buck after it's field dress? Because I know you ain't taking all them innards with you if you're dragging it a mile. I don't know anyone that would do that. I'd rather buy a bag of dog food if you're feeding your dogs, man. Every pound of meat every pound that you drag at once, when you go a mile dragging a deer. Dude, I almost had a heart attack one year. I had a 160-pound doe I dragged through. Um, it was an area where the woods had burned up like 20 years earlier, and all the trees in the area were like grass blades, and they were all about this big around, and they were next to each other. And I'm literally having to drag, and it was thick too. I had to drag this thing at least a quarter of a mile through this heavy wooded area with all these little young, but it makes for good cover. Deer love that kind of cover. I mean, that's why I was hunting there. But yeah, I kept taking breaks and grabbing water and taking breaks and grabbing water, and I actually felt like a pain in my heart. I could feel my heart pounding because that's a hard workout. 160 pounds plus all the resistance those trees give you. When you're trying to push it through and drag it through. And I think there was only one time I actually had to go back out and turn it around and go around some of those trees, but mostly I just had to plow through them and over them. And the heart, yep, yep. Yeah, I leave the heart and the lungs in there while I'm dragging. Take all that out later. Yeah, that's the thing though, man. So one of the things I don't do, I try not to hit the heart. I end up hitting the heart sometimes, but I usually I aim for just above the heart, in that vital V part of the deer. And this is why, because if you kill the blood pump, then there's no ability for that blood to be pumped out of the muscles. But if you sever the arteries right above the blood pump will keep pumping. And when it pumps, it's drawing blood from the muscles and pushing it out the opening, you know. And so that's one thing that I've always aimed for, just above the heart. Sometimes I hit the heart, but I like to get as close to the heart as you can because you have the biggest arteries right there. And I don't know if you've ever found the ranch fairy, but man, was I glad to come across that because I couldn't figure out why the hell. Whenever every mature buck I ever killed, except maybe one, um, my arrow never did fully penetrate and go through the animal. I couldn't figure out why. It's because I use the stuff they sell in the pro shops, and I didn't know about I didn't know about building a heavier arrow, having more forward of center weight on the arrow. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Ed Ashby Foundation, Ed Ashby killed over 1,000. I actually think it was several thousand large game animals in Africa, but he did a huge study down there to find out what gives the best penetration and gives you the most lethality in arrows. And so I'm basically going off of the information that Troy from the Ranch Fairy channel puts out. And I built one set of arrows. I'm going to build another set this year, I think. I haven't had an arrow stopping a deer since, dude. They're every one of them just heavy bone, don't matter, just blows right through heavy bone. And it's all about having the momentum and it's all about momentum and inertia and penetration, dude. Having a good sharp, you gotta have a sharp fixed broadhead. Fuck all those flappers, he calls them. The mechanicals, man. I never liked them. Never liked the mechanicals. I bought a couple early on when I first started bow hunting, and I was like, man, I just don't like these things. I just gotta, I can't see that these things would have any kind of good um, integrity hitting bones. That was one thing I was like, how can these things last through hitting bones? You picture going through a bone on your counter. Put a freaking rib, a bunch of ribs on the counter and see. But if you got a solid fixed head, single bevel is the best. It's gonna break right through that bone. The bone's not gonna stop it. It's not deflecting much. But yeah. Yeah, you must like that flavor of the blood, dude. I don't. I got a buddy of mine ex buddy of mine that loves deer hearts. I was saving them all for him before. A little bit of snow on the ground. Oh, I bet, dude. I'll bet. I got that one in the neck, and it dropped like a stack of potatoes. Oh, was that with your 243 or something else you were shooting? I remember the last season I was using my Twizzler arrows. They were like a 300 grain arrow that I got at. Um, I shoot a 70-pound bow, and I have long draw length, so a 300 grain arrow is kind of like a Twizzler, they call them. They're not stiff enough to give you really good solid forward momentum of that weight. Look at my cat over there. She's over there. That's my Frisky. That's my lover girls. Hi, Whispers. Hi, lover girls. 30-06, cool. Yeah, what do you think about that whole Charlie Kirk thing? The official story was his neck stopped a 30-06 at 140 yards. I actually did a live stream. You can go back on my channel and see the history because I was like asking questions about it. There was way too many inconsistencies and impossibilities with that immediate story that they gave us for it to be true. I tell people Charlie Kirk is probably sipping on something wicked on Trumpstein Island. Hi, Puma. Hey, dude, thanks for joining, man. I don't want to be unsocial, but I got some wood to split. I'll be coming back on my breaks to check it out. Not to be that guy, but I'm big into the conspiracy shit. Well, the reason we have laws against conspiracy is because they actually happen. Men conspire to do evil shit. And yes, not every conspiracy theory is true, but we absolutely should test it and critically analyze things. What people don't realize is their emotions are usually interfering with them being able to critically analyze information. When we're inundated with some news that all of a sudden it recruits our emotions and not our critical thinking brain, it bypasses our ability to think. And that's kind of how they do it with all of these events that they use to further increase their power, take away your liberty, and take away your money. And that's really what it comes down to. Let's see. might drop it over here. Can you see that? Probably not. Maybe. Oh, looks like somebody else came in. What's going on? Touchdown. Don't hit the cat with any wood. Oh, as soon as I start splitting, they run off. They're smart. They learn the hard way. They'll be climbing a freaking wood pile, and all of a sudden I'm splitting wood, and a piece of wood flies up and hits them, or gets close to hitting them. They're like, "Oh shit, I better get away." So they do that. They run. Oh, I decided I didn't want to stay up. Oh, naughty piece. Oh, they want to be a bitch. Yep. Oh. Ah, that'll do it. Okay. Oh, maybe. am I missing? Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. Oh, what are we talking here? Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens? Oh no. Nope, I'm not a Bigfoot guy. I'm not into the alien conspiracy. What I do know is very evil men have taken over currencies through central banking and fiat currency, printing their own money. With that, they have taken over entire governments through corruption, blackmail, bribery, and they've monopolized entire industries. You know, energy, information, economics, healthcare, agriculture, and these wicked men are highly invested into every single industry that people have become dependent upon to set up their final system of digital surveillance and control. It's a big plantation, don't you know? Yeah. Oh, all right. If I miss you, see you. Thanks for joining in. It's interesting. When I do work and I do a live stream while I'm working, YouTube shows that there's a bunch more viewers than when I'm just sitting there talking. Hey, what's going on, Charles? You look like an assembly line. It is, man. It is. That's the only way to do it, dude. Well, it's not the only way to do it, but that's the way I do it. A little knotty piece of wood. I'll do that. Maybe I'll do it. Like that. Even the little ones need to be split sometimes. That's going to be a fun one. My neighbor's bad cut ones. The older I get, the more water I seem to need. And breath. Yeah. Oh, love to all from Malta. Hey, welcome. The split wood burns better than the round logs. Oh, yeah. Well, they won't season, not the oak anyway. It won't season unless it's split. It'll rot before it seasons because there's no way for the moisture to escape the hardwood. the hardwood rings, the summer rings. So it's always best if you're splitting greenwood that oak, it should season for 2 years. But it works fine. I don't get a lot of creosote if I just let them season for a year. It works. Yeah, I guess I'll take a smoke break. I've only been live for 45 minutes. Time to catch some fresh air. Yeah, I'm hoping I'll be able to do this for years to come, man. I got quite a bit here. This pile here is just it's about 10 to 12 feet wide, and it goes back a little more than 12 feet now. Probably from there to the end is about 15 feet. And I got another pile here that's from the end to here is about 20 feet. That's just what I've done so far this season. And it's almost enough to, oh no, that's not everything I've done. At least your beard isn't frozen today. Yeah, no kidding, dude. I usually put oil in my beard, and today out of the shower I decided I was going to put some wax in there. Try beard wax for the first time. I'm not really sure I like it. I think I'm just going to keep oil in it. The beard wax is kind of, I don't like the texture. I like the texture of oil. Yeah, here's another pile of wood I split, which is, I don't know, from there to there, it's probably 12 feet. And I got a whole bunch of logs. I got a split here too. I got firewood all over the place here, man. I got basically 2 spots on my property that I keep store my wood. This is what's left for this season's wood. Right there, I got it under that. I like to use those big rubberized tarps you get from the trucks that I got from a truck driver that did steel. Wow, steel coils. But yeah, that's a pile I have yet to do here. And then that's what's already done. I got quite a bit done. Ain't too bad. Oh boy. Couple sneezes and you get that white running, clear running shit coming out of your nose, and it builds up, and you just gotta do a farmer's blow. But don't want to do that for all the ladies, you know, all those ladies that show. Oh wait, there's no ladies that show up my stream. That's funny, dude. I think it's funny if you ever flip through the live streams. It's insane what people watch. Yeah, what people watch is just idiocy at its peak. You get hundreds and hundreds of real-time viewers on these streams where people aren't even producing any substance or content. There's nothing. I mean, even here, like when I'm just splitting firewood, dude, I'm not able to talk much. And YouTube will show that I'll have anywhere between 30 and 60 people in here. But then if I'm just sitting there talking, it drops down to like 3 or 4. So it's like, okay. But that's the thing. I think the numbers are skewed. I think YouTube's messing with the numbers, because there's been times where it's shown 0 people in my chat and there's 3 people talking. And there's been times where nobody's talking and it's showing I got a bunch of people. Like right now, it's saying I got how many? 43 people in here. Well, when I've gone to other live streams, there's 43 people. I don't see nobody talking or only one person talking. That doesn't happen. I think YouTube is doing that though. Hey, Charles, if you're still here, I'm curious. Has YouTube solicited you in an email to ask you if you wanted to promote your channel, like, pay a little extra to promote your channel? I know when you upload a stream or you edit your videos, once they're already uploaded on YouTube, they give you the option to promote, but they sent me an email asking me if I want to promote right after they took me out of YouTube prison. Right on, man. That's ever since I saw you the first time, I was like, man, yeah, it's like there's a kindred spirit between us. I think you're my kind of people. Is how I view it. I mean, you're a lot more, you're a lot nicer than I am, But I'm always kind, and I don't, and that's kind of what I recognize about you is you're a kind man. You don't have malice in your heart. I can tell just by your way, your personality. I'm a little rough around the edges. I don't have malice in my heart. I do have anger for things that are injustice. I do have an anger against injustices, but no malice. Yeah, not yet that I know of. Hmm. After YouTube got me out of prison, they put me through a live stream. All of a sudden, they told me I had 4,600 views, right, in one live stream. I was like, how is that even possible? Or 4,300, it might have been. But I'm thinking, how is that even possible? I got like 3 people that show up in a live stream, and I'll be on for 2 hours. And nobody was talking. There wasn't hardly anybody talking in the chat. So how was it even possible? I had 4,600 viewers. It just didn't seem right. I think the numbers were inflated on purpose. And then after I ended my live stream and it processed through, YouTube sends me an email that says, hey, would you like to promote your live stream for $12.99 or whatever? I'm just making the number up, but I don't know what it was. But, to send them money to promote the live stream, I'm like, now I get it. Give me the illusion that I have a chance of, making money. And that's not my purpose to be on here. I'm not here to monetize. I might get monetized, but that's not my goal. I might not though, because I don't like the fact that YouTube, if you get monetized, then you got a whole other thing for taxes, and you got to have an LLC and all that. And I don't know. I don't know if you made enough off of your YouTube monetization last year to have to pay taxes on it this year, but I think it's over 500 or 600 bucks. But I'm not sure. That's probably a scam. Yeah, of course it is. Oh, it was a YouTube. It was an official YouTube thing. Vance, what's going on? Did your wife kick you out? Nope, she couldn't put up with me. She left. I've been here for 22 years, and on my own for 13. 13? Yeah, this year 13 years. Next month it'll be 13 years. All right, let's see. I think right there. Yeah, I'll do that one again for sure. That's kind of iffy. Well, that didn't want to go, huh? Turned it upside down. The little ones need some loving too. Oh, you don't want to go, huh? We'll see. Oh, okay. That'll be fun. Really? Can't get these things to stand right. Sometimes. Oh. Okay. Here's the house. Oh, living in a tent. Oh, okay. Straight off the grid. Yeah, I'm not off the grid. Yeah. Welcome, Kennedy. Yeah, I'll work for 5 minutes, take a break, work for 5 minutes, take a break. Not like when I was younger. But I still get a lot done. And that's the key. I just got to pace myself. Fun, fun, fun. Doo. Actually, right there, maybe. Probably right there. I'll do that one again. Huh. Interesting. That is interesting. Oh. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a fun one to cut or split. I think I'll try it like that. quite as difficult as I thought it would be. Oh, that's what I suppose. We'll see. Okay, yeah. We got a little rain here today. Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. I wasn't sure how that was going to go. Yeah. I'm plugging along though. Just trying to rub two pieces of firewood together. But you want, I'll trade you some wooden nickels for some real ones. That's an inside joke. Oh, show you the, okay. So it's not an axe, it's a splitting maul. And yeah, I'll show you. On my last live stream I did with the splitting, I started off by showing the differences between the two. I probably should have done that again just because we got new people, but this is the standard ordinary splitting maul with the same design they've been using for probably about 3,000-4,000 years or so. It's got a much wider spread than an axe. That's so that it kind of divides, wedges the wood apart. And then this new one, is designed a little differently. You can see it widens out a lot quicker, and it does have a little bit of a narrower point at the very tip. And so this actually I found to be a little more efficient. Fiskars makes it. If I were, and I'm only guessing, it's all anecdotal, because no two pieces of wood are the same. I'm guessing I'm probably splitting close to 20% more efficiently with the new Fiskars at mall. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We got this generation now. They ain't know what we're talking about, man. I got some wooden nickels if you want to trade for some. And back then, the nickels were 90% silver. When they warned you, don't take any wooden nickels. Did you ever invest in silver? I did. I bought a bunch of silver when it was right around $12 an ounce. And then I went to garage sales and I bought some that was maybe 50 cents to $1 an ounce, you know, just buying it for like junk um, costume jewelry stuff. And then I bought a bunch of silver bars and it was 14 something. I think it was 14.27 an ounce. I don't know if you pay attention or not, but I knew the silver was going to go up. They've been capping it for decades, not letting it go with gold. And I thought, yeah, they got a plan to. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, the new mall looks like it has a better angle. It does. It does, and it's a little bit of a convex, or I should say concave thing, so it really does force it wide open quicker. The bummer thing is it does make the wood fly further, you know, which to me it's not that big of a deal, but the wood does fly further. Yeah, these logs aren't even frozen anymore, dude. We've been getting in the 20s at night, you know, but since that Arctic blast went away and we've been getting this warmer weather, today it's like 50 degrees. You know, that's why I'm in a t-shirt. I'm like, shit, I've been in this below zero and single digits and teens for, you know, the last month and a half to 2 months. Actually, November is when the freeze started. Started freezing in November. We had like maybe a week of warm up in there, but it's been a pretty averagely cold winter like it should be. I think it's warming up like this week. We're going to get a warm up like we usually don't get this time of year. And you guys might because you got like a whole different ecosystem or climate down there just south of where I'm at. We get all the stuff from the Great Lakes and the Arctic blast. They circle and they hit us. I watch it all the time. It misses St. Louis. You guys don't get the nearly. You guys do get, but when you get snow, it's not much usually. This year, this year was an exception, but it's usually not much snow, and it's usually not, you know, no more than 6 inches, and it doesn't stick around for very long because you have somewhat mild winters. I bring these jars to my work and I put stinging nettle and raspberry leaf tea in here because stinging nettle has all of the electrolytes your body needs. It's not just that sodium crap they put in the freaking uh, Gatorade that people are like, oh, electrolytes. No, no, these are real electrolytes. Stinging nettle is what it is. And I raspberry leaf tea because I like the flavor, and raspberry leaf has a good mix of minerals too. And vitamins. And so that's my rehydration along with just natural water. and Hunter's Blend coffee. This stuff's delicious. I'm spoiled with my coffee, dude. I'm afraid when this shit hits the fan, dude, I'm gonna be like weeping because I'll have to suffer with Folgers or make dandelion root coffee. Chicory and dandelion root. Wasn't there a commercial? I think it was a commercial for Folgers actually, where it was like a bunch of pioneers out on the trail making their way out west or something. They said, "We're out of coffee. Get the chicory," something like that. But chicory has been used. I don't know why. It to me it does not taste anything like coffee, and it has no caffeine in it. So I don't know why it would. I think it's an abomination in the sight of me for somebody to call chicory or anything a substitute for coffee. But I have become a coffee snob. I just recently learned I don't want it warm. Wait, I don't want it too warm too much. It messes with my fruit trees. Oh, the temperature. Oh, yeah, yeah. You guys got fruit trees down there. We can't have them here. Other than apple trees, that's about it. We can't grow peach trees. We can't grow pear trees. We can't grow, you know, a lot of the fruit trees. Cherry trees don't grow very well here. And the main reason being is they'll blossom early and we'll get a freeze and it'll kill the fruits before they can even grow. But I just recently learned last year that when coffee beans are harvested, you've heard that there's different kinds, Arabica and Colombia and stuff, and I don't know what all the type. Arabica is the one I like, so that's what I focus on. I've tasted a bunch of different ones. Arabica beans are the best. And then you got different regions they grow in, and some are just more robust in their flavors. And so, um, but no matter where the coffee's grown, the beans are always sifted by their weight. And so they sift them until the heaviest beans that are the most dense drop down to the bottom. And then they scrape off the top 80% of them, and those go to the like your Folgers, your Hills Brothers, your Dunkin' Donuts, your Starbucks, and all that stuff. The cheap coffees is what they are. And then the heavier ones, those are for your gourmet coffees, and the bottom 5% or 7% of the weight of them are the best of the best, and that's what I order. They're not cheap, but they're freshly roasted. I get them from a company called Hunter's Blend. 5-pound bag of freshly roasted beans costs just over $100, and that'll last for months. But what I'll do is I'll get it in the bag and I'll immediately put it in the mason jars, these things, and then seal them up and put them in the freezer, and so that kind of locks in the flavors of that fresh roast flavor, and then you know put them into I've got a glass hopper that's a little more than a quart. It's about, oh, what is that, 3 pints, about the size of 3 pints. It'll take just over a pound of beans, and it's got a seal on it, so it seals in. And I'll just grind up my coffee right before I make it. It's a really good burr grinder. It probably takes 10 seconds to grind up enough for a half a pot of coffee or 2 cups of coffee. I'll just grind it and make my coffee every morning fresh. I just ground that up just before I came out here and made it. And so it's a fresh cup of coffee. There's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. Yep. And I've had good coffee before that was, pretty expensive over the years. But one day I was flying on a flight to Africa. And I was actually on my way to DC airport because there was a, what do they call that, a jump flight or something, a transfer I had to do at DC. And United Airlines brought out this cup of coffee for me because I asked for coffee, and it was so good. It was the best cup of coffee I'd ever had to that day. And I asked them, I said, what kind of coffee is this? This is back in 2019. And the stewardess went and checked because she didn't know off the top of her head. And she told me it was Illy coffee. And so I looked it up, and yeah, it was like $39 for 6 little cans of, like 12-ounce cans, or no, 8.8 ounce cans of beans. Yeah, I was buying them for a while, and they went up to 40 some dollars, and they went up to 50, and then I stopped buying Illy. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go nuts on this stuff, buying expensive coffee like that. But I tried going back to Folgers. I just might as well quit drinking coffee if I gotta go back to Folgers. That's how I felt, man. So I started shopping around. All these ended up having a pretty decent deal on Ecuadorian coffee, which isn't bad. It's got a little bit more bitterness than I like, but it's okay. So I was buying that for a while. Then I decided I've tried a bunch of different kinds. And then I found Hunter's Blend. Their beans are good. They're not the best I've ever had, but they are up there. They're up there. They're in the top 5, maybe top 10 beans I've ever had, which is good. I'm kind of a snob with it. But as far as price wise goes, they're the most expensive, but they're fresh, and that makes a difference. That makes a huge difference. Freshly roasted beans are nothing like anything. You can't compare it because when they're freshly roasted, you grind them up fresh and you brew it fresh, you get all those antioxidants, and the flavors are the most robust. They really are. It's like, I keep talking. Every time I talk about it, I want to take another sip of that coffee because it's like, oh. I think since I started drinking coffee around 13 years old, 14 years old, I don't know if I've even gone a total of 3 months in my entire life without coffee. If you add up all the days I've gone without coffee, I don't think it's even been 3 months since I started drinking it. And it doesn't really do anything as far as energy wise goes. It's all for flavor, it's all for the pleasure of drinking it. But they're finding out that it's got a lot of anti cancer properties. Yeah, I know, dude. I know it does make you want coffee. What do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 9. 9 logs lined up. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Can you see this one? Yeah, I guess so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's fun when I have my son here. See, look at this. How many people does it say that are in the chat right now? Because I just looked and it said 31, then it's 29, now it's 25. The number up there doesn't equate to what I'm seeing in the chat. I just put up a short of a herd of deer, over 10 deer in a field. Yeah, this is the time of year they herd up, man, at the end of winter time. The biggest herd I've ever seen was easy 100 deer. That was up in Michigan. It was easy 100 deer. The biggest herd I've ever seen down here was just over 50. northern Indiana, but this is a heavily hunted area. I can't get the deer to be social here at all. By the time they start to warm up, like to somebody, a hunting season comes and they're done. They're like, yep, stay away from man, stay away from man. There's been a couple of years where I've had fawns that were somewhat curious. I always wanted to get the deer to come and eat out of my hand. I would not shoot that deer unless I was hungry. I wouldn't shoot a deer that was like social with me. You know, of course, you become friends with the deer, and then he just stops coming around during hunting season or after hunting season and never shows up again. And well, he's in somebody's freezer. That's one of the bummer things about it. But they got these people online that I think they're stupid. They're showing them bringing deer into their house. Um, and if you there's a key right there. If you shut the door behind the deer, you just violated a law. It's not against the law to let them come in if you keep your door open. But as soon as you shut the door, you've entrapped the deer, and it is a crime. And fucking DNR Gestapo come after you. But I'm like, let the fucking deer come in the living room. Let him shut the door. Let the deer warm up by the fire. Let the guy hang out with the thing. I mean, seriously, he's not. That's what our free country has devolved to. You can't even freaking become friends with a deer. It's sick, dude. It's sick. I don't know. It bothers me. Yeah, I love social deer. Yeah, the ones in your yard. Yeah. Do you got a lot of hunting pressure in the woods around you? The deer in your yard, they didn't come around during hunting season, did they? Wasn't it after hunting season? What do you want, little bitch? Uma, where are you? Uma, still there bitching somewhere. Yeah, it feels good to get the blood flowing again too. I started working out last weekend. Tomorrow it'll be a week. I think I only took one day off, which is yesterday, working out. I couldn't work out after I got in that car accident. I got a fracture in my spine, and the doctor said to lay off the weights. I just started working out again for the first time since 2018 or 2019. Um, just started working out again. I was 1 month in. All my muscles had acclimated to the weights, and I was just starting to go heavy again. And then, bam, I got hit by the car. I'm like, motherfucker. And my son came by last week, and he helped me set up my gym better so that I can uh, have an open area in the middle. And I put my squat racks and cages off to the side so that I had the access to be moving my benches around in the middle and do all my body weight exercises and stretches and everything. So it's pretty cool. I got it set up the way I wanted. Um, and so just having it set up is to me a kind of motivation to get down there. And that's a good thing about having it in my house is I don't have a gym membership, so I don't like have to try to schedule something into my day to drive from one place to the next and stop at the gym and blah blah blah. It's like, no, I'll just do it at home. And then I got no excuse not to work out. This is a city. They're here all the time. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's something I'll tell you what, if you look, you'll see there's these channels that get a lot of deer. They get a lot of views on deer, especially if the deer are social and you get them to eat out of your hand. But if you do that, I got some advice for you. Apples. Go get the produce that's getting thrown out at the grocery store. Get the apples, get the bananas. They like bananas, they like apples. I don't know if they like oranges or not. I don't know if they like citrus, but apples and bananas they do like. Um, and corn, you know, and just get your little area set up to where you can sit down, you know, 15 feet away from them or so, and, you know, make your movement slow and maybe even call them, you know, maybe even call them in like with the deer call. You can't do that here. They won't become that social to people. The babies will begin to want to, but anyway, once you get them to comfortable to where they're eating in front of you, like you could just sit there with your camera on a tripod or something, and just sit there and videotape them. Then toss them the pieces of apples, and then they'll recognize that, hey, this guy's the food guy. He's the apple guy. He's the one that gives us the apples. And then you put some corn out there, but then keep the apples and just hold them out with your hand, you know, and then they'll be like, they'll smell it and they'll be like, oh, okay, and they'll kind of slowly take it, and then, you know, eventually warm up to them, and all it takes is one or two deer to start doing that, and all the rest are going to follow suit because they want the apples too, right? And they see that it's safe, especially if you can get a doe. If you can get a nanny doe to come in, all the younger ones will be like, oh, okay, she says it's cool, it's cool. Now, you used to be a deer hunter, I think you know. The nanny does are the ones that kind of watch out for the herds, and the herds follow the nanny does. But no, that would make for some content that would be, you get a lot of exposure on that. That's for sure. Yep, they like pumpkins too. I'm gonna go back to splitting. Do, 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 do. Yeah, that one had a little knot in it. Didn't want to go. Fuck that. Better. Shut the fuck up. top of a tree that broke off last year. Or the year before last. And the tree just died this year. Huh. Almost all the snow's melted. Yeah. Huh. Oh, all right. I think I'm gonna have to move some shit. Yeah, let's do that. This way. Those are always the fun ones to split. Yeah, I'll do that again. Those are fun. I'll put that one as an all-nighter. Yeah. Yeah. Fun, fun, fun. Moving right along. What we got here? Okay. You just made 9 into 18 compound interest. Yeah, right? 8 into 636. Yep, plus more. Yep. Fire. Yeah, infinite rose brown, yeah. That's what it's for. It's all for the firewood pile. That's what I've been working on today. I can't zoom out anymore. I've extended that pile quite a bit just in the last hour. And here's another pile. That goes way back there. And here's all the logs I'm pulling from. So that pile of logs is getting smaller and smaller. I'm liking it. And that's just under the tarp is what I've been using this winter. That stuff's dry from last year. Let's see. Dry firewood, dry seasoned. Got to keep it dry. Still amazed at how much water I drink. A bunch of mosquitoes. And they're all males. I don't know if I'll be able to catch this on video. See if I can. I don't know if they're going to show up on the video. They're so small. But there's a bunch of males and they're doing these oval loops around. And the reason I know they're males is because only the males do these little dances. They're trying to attract the females. Males don't bite. The females are the ones that bite. They need the protein in our blood to feed their eggs so the eggs will hatch. I don't know if there's anybody in here. It's gonna be wild. I got this shirt from Drone Deer Recovery. They use thermal drones to be able to help people recover their deer if they get a bad hit or they lose the blood trail on a deer, and it happens. But you can hire them. It's like $400 to have a thermal drone come out and have them, go after. But some states like Illinois made it against the law to use them, and that doesn't make no sense to me. They got these fair chase laws. You've got technology to recover a deer once it's been shot. It only makes sense to use whatever technology is available to go recover it. I personally can't see investing $400 into one deer though, because I'm not a trophy hunter. I don't care about that. I go after the young ones. I go after the fawns and the yearlings. The meat's way better. Hey Richard, what's going on? Welcome. Yeah, I put beard wax in my beard for the first time today. I know I said that like 3 times or so, but it just feels weird. I like how it moisturizes the beard. I just usually use beard oil. Can you hear that? Illinois is stupid. Could you hear those? That's the sound of freedom. I live way out in the country. We got probably 1, 2, 3, 4 gun ranges, private gun ranges where they just build up berms. I used to hunt, target shoot in my backyard because I had 280 acres behind me it wasn't mine, but it was completely unused and empty. And so I used to use that as a backdrop, all wooded area. And then they subdivided the land out and started building houses on it, and that was it for that. I had one area that I was able to shoot in, which gave me more than a half a mile distance beyond my hill, and I shoot into my hill. And then they subdivided that out and started building houses on it. So I'm like, well, I'm not shooting toward any houses. I'm not going to do that. Even though I got a hill, I'm sitting on top of a hill and I could shoot into my hill, but I don't like the idea of, like, say it hits a metal rod that's holding up a target. If it just hits a metal rod, it can ricochet up over the hill and do property damage. I'm not concerned about it killing nobody, because if it's a ricochet, it ain't going to kill nobody. But, it could scrape somebody's skin open or something. It could do property damage, break a window. I try to look out for other people. One thing I don't like, I see these videos, these fail videos all the time. Yeah, I gotta look after the beard, dude. And people are mucking it up and laughing and scoffing at people that are injuring themselves. And I guess it really kind of hit home when I was learning some of the more advanced techniques for cutting trees. And I wanted to look up to see what mistakes people made to find out what not to do. And I see there's a lot of tree cut and fail videos. And, even when nobody gets injured and a tree drops onto a house and smashes an entire house, I can't rejoice and laugh about that. That's just not funny to me. You just, somebody's home was literally just destroyed. Or if somebody's up on a ladder and they cut, and then all of a sudden the ladder gives out and the chainsaw cuts their hand off, and people are laughing. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, think about that. Laughing over that shit? No, there's nothing funny about people getting hurt. And maybe that's one of the reasons I just don't fit into this world. I don't, I cannot rejoice over other people's uh, misfortune, especially when you're talking injury. I try to fight the temptation from even rejoicing over when my enemies go through trouble. You know, sometimes there's a little bit in me that wants to, feel content and glad over it, but it's not good. It's like, yeah, they fucked me over and look what happened to them. Hey, Jesse. This is kind of a cool fungus. That all grew just this last year. Yeah. And looking at it, it's kind of cool. Looks like a Ganoderma species. Oh, I should probably get back to splitting wood. How much time do I have left on here? Oh. Okay, I've been going for 2 hours and I have 36% on my battery power. Not as fast as I used to be. Alright, let's see about that. Am I on that? Yeah, that's good. I got me a nice log that I've been sitting on. Big old log. That's my seat. Oh, that'll be a fun one. Got a big knot in it. I should have cut that off. I don't know why I didn't do that one. That'll be fun. That one in the back that was giving me all that problem, knotty as hell. You don't want to sit straight. Let's try that one. Wow, that's got some pretty colors to it. Really. Pretty colors. Naughty as hell. I don't know if the colors make coming out real good, but it's got some really beautiful yellowish greens and orange and pink and beige. It's actually looking like it's well decorated. Get this one over with. This thing's a piece of shit in my way. Hey, what's going on, Randy? So you're having a boring day, decided to make a stupid, yep, I am, Randy. Okay, what are you gonna do when you get it all split? Oh no, I actually learned it seasons better when it's not stacked, when it's piled, as long as the piles aren't too high. And so, yeah, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Actually did the moisture tests on them. At one time, I had this whole area stacked. I used to stack all my firewood. And it's a lot of extra work to stack it. But what I found is you get a lot more surface area on the logs for the wind to pass through. You get a lot more surface area for the rain to hit, the sun, all of that ends up contributing to seasoning the wood out, and it seasons much quicker and much better when it's just stacked. And so I got these piles here. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that's probably closer to 30 feet from here all the way to the end there. But that's a nice, and it is 4 foot at the height, but most of it I'd say average 3.5 to 4 feet here. But yeah, that whole thing is, well, I'll mark it off and paste it like I do. 8 times 3, yeah, 25, 24 feet. Yeah, that's what that is. And this one's probably pushing 17 feet, I think. Oh, 21. That's 21 feet long. And so, yeah, and this is just big enough for the tarp to cover. And what I'll do is in August during the dry season, I'll start to tarp the wood. Because I'll sometimes start burning in September, but usually not till October. But end of July, into August, if I got a rain coming, I'll tarp the wood. And I got 2 big tarps, so I'll have two piles that I'm going to be working with. And yeah, so I pull the tarp off when it's not raining, and I put it back on when it's raining, just to make sure that I get extra seasoning done right before I got to burn it. Sevgen. Okay, Sevgen, that's looking like spam to me. I pretty much don't like spam. It's the only thing I censor, so don't be doing that. You haven't said anything. I don't really appreciate that. I mean, the chat's to talk, you know, but I give you a warning before I time you out. But what I'll do is if somebody spams, I'll time them out. I time people out for that stuff, you know, but I give you a warning. You know, you look at what you did, dude. You know, or dudette. I don't know if you're a dude or a dudette, but you flooded the chat, so all we can see is these Lupercalia symbols and emoji faces. That doesn't do anything for conversation. But yeah, I used to stack the wood, and you know, I think it was one winter I was too lazy to stack it. I had a lot going on, and you know, I was like, yeah, I'll just keep in a pile this year. And then lo and behold, when the wintertime came and I needed to burn it, it was catching fire a lot quicker. You know, and I thought, huh, You know, so I went ahead and I did some tests. I did some wood stacked, some wood piled. And I did the test for about 3 years in a row, and without fail, every single one of those that was in a pile seasoned out way better. All right, so I gave you a warning. I don't know why you want to do that, dude. Yeah. Well, I timed that dude out because I'm sure it's a dude. It's well, I'm not sure, but you know, it's probably a child is what it is. That's what I find when people do stuff like that. They're just kids. You know, man, oh man. Oh, YouTube app stopped is what it said. Anyway, yeah, this pile's getting smaller. I'm pretty happy with that. I had, I don't know how many, 25 truckloads of firewood that I piled up in here. And I got some big wood up in here too. Some of these logs are pretty large. It's definitely been a fun year for firewood. And I kind of needed it, dude, because I was really losing a lot of motivation, and firewood just, it actually helped me build up some motivation to get some stuff done. Kind of sucks, so I lost 18 trees on my property. What am I looking at? Yeah, 23% it looks like. I'm probably gonna, I should probably take a short break, get some water. That's the last of that water. And that'll be the last of that tea. I do like this, and you know, it's much better for you. Stinging nettle and raspberry leaf tea. Takes like 7 minutes to make in the morning. I run hot water. I make a half gallon, 2 quarts worth. Run hot water on the sink till it gets nice and hot. Put it in a pan with the tea leaves, and I just bring it up. I heat it up for like 7 minutes on medium heat, and then I turn the thing off and stir up and let it steep in there for a half hour, 45 minutes. Once it cools down to a temperature like around 105 or so, then I filter it and put honey in with it, and it's like a soda pop, but better. Sweet tea. Nettle tea kicks ass. Yeah, stinging nettle, man. And I get raw honey. I don't know what it is. I think it's some kind of probiotics that are in honey, but if you heat honey up above 106 degrees, is what I've been told, you can kill some of the benefits to honey. So anytime you use it for, you know, teas or anything, you want to make sure that the temperature of what you're putting it in is going to be like 106 or below, is what I hear. So that's what I do. I just let it come down to temperature before I add honey. Burdock seed. I've never had burdock seed before. I've used it for for salve, because the stuff is a really good healer. You know. Yeah, stinging nettle is really, really good for your microbiome, but man, is it loaded. Stinging nettle is loaded with all sorts of good chemicals, minerals, vitamins, nutrients. you know, you got amino acids. It's amazing stuff. It's one of the superfoods. You can live off of stinging nettle. You know, I do pretty good at 55, I think. I don't know if I'd be doing this good if I wasn't supplementing my intake of poisons with good food. I was going to look something up here real quick. I stinging nettle. It's called stinging nettle because it has very sharp silica trichomes, or needles, that are on the stem on the underside of the leaves. These silica trichomes grow under pressure, being filled with a very peculiar liquid that's a combination of formic acid, tartaric acid, oxalic acid, acetylcholine, serotonin, and choline. That's just what's inside the needle of the stinging nettle. And so it grows under pressure because the plant's pushing it into a glass wall, basically. And so you got this liquid, and under a microscope, it's really cool to see this, all this greenish, it's a light green liquid that's inside of a hypodermic needle. It's God's design for a hypodermic needle. And they're super sharp. Even under a microscope, you cannot get to the point. Well, maybe if you had like a 2000 power microscope, you might be able to see the dullness at the tip, but those things are super sharp. And as soon as they come in contact with your skin, they break off, and all of that liquid gets shot under pressure directly under the skin. The histamine causes a reaction, which brings blood flow to the area. So immediately the blood comes to the area and gathers all of those nutrients and distributes it throughout the cells of your body. It's pretty cool. It's a very efficient delivery system. Most people, even foragers, will tell you that, oh, we wear gloves when we harvest. I'm like, why would you do that, dude? Just let it into you. The stinging wood nettle is different, but stinging nettle, it doesn't really hurt. The sting is not a pain. It's more of an irritant. It'll cause your fingers to get tingly, or wherever you're picking it. Yeah, I get stinging nettle, and I'll slap it on my skull because I shave my head. I'll slap it on my skull. I'll slap it on the back of my hand, the most soft, sensitive part of my hand, and it's like going to God's pharmacist pharmacy to get a bunch of medicine in you, right? It's really, really good stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't really say it's slightly itchy. The tingly area might be itchy, but I mean, I've been harvesting it for over a decade now, I think, or close to a decade. I love to go out there. In fact, pretty soon here, like in about a month and a half, I like to go out when the shoots are about 8 inches tall, and maybe 8 to 10 inches tall, and I just pick the tops of them. And they grow, they'll split off from where you pick them, and they'll continue to grow, but I just pick the tops of them. I go out there with a backpack and bags, and I fill up the bags, throw it in the backpack, fill up the bags, throw it in the backpack. And I'll have enough stinging nettle in one day to last me for 2 seasons, 2 years, But yeah, my hands get real swollen from it because I do not wear gloves. I want it all over. But sometimes if I spend like 4 hours out there picking, my hands will be tingly and numb and just kind of feeling weird for about 2 days. Yeah. But if I only do it for an hour or so, it'll usually be gone by the next morning. Puma, come on. Can you guess what kind of an animal Puma is? Puma! I get to split and they don't even come around. Yep. Yeah, the wood pile provides plenty of hunting grounds for those wood mice. Cats love him. And they keep the mice down at the house too. Puma, come on! Come on! I hear you. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Come on. Puma, come on. She's like right there somewhere. Come on. She's just been crying. Oh, there she is. There she is. Wait, right there. Puma. Yeah, it's not going to zoom into it much. Come on, baby girl. There she is. She's trying to get me to take her go to the house. She wants inside. She doesn't want to play around outside. Wow, ooh, that zoomed in way too much. Hi. No. Come on. Come here. You see I'm not going to the house, girl. No. She's over here yelling at me. She's like, just go to the house. She wants me to open up the door. She used to love to be outside. Now she's kind of like anything more than 5 minutes outside and she's pretty tired of it. Oh, no. That's a GMC Sierra. That GMC Sierra has 374,000 miles on it, and it still runs excellently. It's got a 5.3 in it. And I retired it, even though it still runs. I retired it to buy a newer one. I got a 2013 GMC Sierra. And I got a 2009 Buick Enclave. That's kind of like my road trip vehicle. That Enclave is comfortable. The Sierras are comfortable for driving. But, you know, they don't get much better gas mileage than, the Enclave doesn't get much better gas mileage than the Sierras. I get about 19 in the Sierras, which is interesting. The one's a 5.3 and the other one is a 4.8. And they get the same gas mileage. The trucks weigh the same. You know, the thing is, you've got a lower engine, a smaller engine, which needs to pull more weight for what its size is, and you don't really get any fuel efficiency difference. So I'm like, just make them all 5.3s. Why bother with the 4.8? You know, you don't have enough towing power. I'll tell you what, that 5.3, I'm a very smooth driver. I mean, I'm like a speed limit guy. I rarely go over 55, even when the speed limit's 70. You know, I hang out in the right lane. I'm a casual driver. I see a red light up ahead. You know, I time my speed to get to it when it's green. You know, I let off the gas quarter mile before I come to a stop sign because what's the point of slamming on your brakes? I save a ton of money that way, and it takes away from your wear and tear on your vehicle, and it extends the life of your vehicle a lot. Oh man, I got near 250,000 miles on one set of tires. The guy at the tire shop didn't believe me when I told him when I was going in for a change. No, I was going in for a rotation because I told him, I said I had 175,000 miles on them. He's like, bullshit. Nobody gets that kind of miles on these tires. I said, yeah, dude. I said, I bought them here. Go look on the computer. He didn't believe me. So he went to look on the computer and he saw on the computer that I bought them 175,000 miles earlier and they still had 30, 40% of their life on them. You know, I think I ran them till I had about 250,000 and I got a new set of tires. I actually just put a new set of tires on there just before I retired it. So that's got a brand new set on there. No, they're both V8s. I don't like. Oh, wait, hold on. You said something else. That's not bad. Jeep Grand Cherokee gets 19 with a V6. Yeah, yeah. So why not put a V8 in there? You're not going to have worse gas mileage. In fact, a V8 is, probably going to run a Jeep Cherokee a lot easier. You'll probably get 22. When I first got that GMC Sierra, that's about what I got on highways, 21, 22 mile an hour with a 5.3, and it was rated for like 19. But my driving habits are different, they're rating them for like the average driver, so I get better gas mileage. And dude, it makes a huge difference. I added up the amount of fuel that I spent in 300 and I didn't buy the vehicle brand new. I bought it at like 52,000 miles, so I myself put 325,000 miles on there, but I want to say that the fuel cost alone was somewhere between 60 and $80,000. I only paid 19,000 for the truck. It was a few years old, I got it used, but 60 to $80,000 in fuel. That's a huge, and that's when I realized you're spending more money on fuel on a vehicle than anything else. It's well worth paying attention to what the fuel mileage rating is. You drive it like Dale. That's funny, dude. That's funny. Yeah. Well, if you drive like Dale, either you're a mechanic or you don't get many years on your vehicle then, because you got to start paying mechanics to fix that shit. Drive it like Dale. That's fucking funny. I don't think I ever heard that, man. Coffee time. Okay. I'll go with that one. Thank you. Coffee and a smoke. Coffee. Looking for a place to set my cap down. And I think I found one. Well, I thought I did. Oh well. So they're complaining. But yeah, they got these new vehicles now. They got a law that's supposed to go into effect this year where every manufacturer has to have a kill switch. What people don't know is GM's already had that with OnStar. They've already had the kill switch built into the cars with OnStar. But now Chrysler and Ford and Toyota and all vehicle manufacturers that sell in the United States have to have a kill switch on them from 2006 forward. So there are some 2006 models that won't have to have them because they start building the 2006 models in like September. Oh. But yeah, and they're saying it basically because they want to stop drunk drivers. That's bullshit. That's 100% bullshit. I heard it, people arguing over against this law, begging Congress to repeal it because it was passed during into 2021, I think. But they said, yeah, if you swerve your vehicle to avoid hitting an animal, like you're out in the middle of a road and you shouldn't swerve anyway, but sometimes you have to. Somebody comes, I'll tell you what, for an animal in the road, I will almost never swerve. I will almost always break it down. That's another thing. If you're driving more than 45 mile an hour at night and you're on a road where you're near the road woods, you'll never be able to stop in time to avoid hitting an animal that jumps out last minute. You know, your headlights don't see far enough. Even with these new LEDs, you just don't see far enough to stop in time. I was telling this guy that last year. He's probably 60 years old. He drives like Dale, you know, and he's an attorney too. He's a personal injury attorney, a defense attorney of all things. You would think, you would think he would know, but he doesn't. He doesn't pay attention. And we're driving along, and all of a sudden, and it wasn't even moving. It was a dead raccoon in the middle of the road. But he had one of these cars that was low to the ground, and as soon as he hit it, I could feel it under my feet. That thing did damage. I was like, and when we got to where we were stopping, I seen a whole bunch of fur and skin and blood and a piece of bone hanging downward from up inside of the vehicle. I was like, yeah, you got some shit going on you need to take care of. Yeah, it's a free country. Um, but yeah, I mean, or if you're driving in an area of ice, you know, if you're, you know, somebody stumbles into the road, you got to swerve. All of a sudden, the thing's going to shut you down. And somebody else brought this up. What happens when it's wintertime? You know, it's like 20 below zero outside. I don't know where you live, but I'm in Northwest Indiana, and we get 20 below zero almost every winter. You know, and all of a sudden you end up on ice, and you know you lose traction, or it starts kind of doing a little swerve or slide, and the computer says, "Oh, he's drunk. He's not fit to drive," and they shut you down and shut off your vehicle. What are you going to do for heat? You know, they're literally going to take away your life. I mean, you could die in that kind of temperature. It's just completely ridiculous, and there's no due process. It's like automatically, instantly shut you down. Fuck that, dude. I don't think you know we people are dumb. People are going to buy them anyway, but I wouldn't. I would completely, if I were to be in the market for a brand new vehicle, I would absolutely not purchase one with a kill switch. You hit them in the pocketbook, then the auto manufacturers are going to deal with the Congress, and they're going to make sure that they lobby to get that shit moved because their numbers are going down. You know, they're all about sales. Do you guys get like 20, 30, 40 below winters up there in Maine? We get the coldest it's been here is 41 below zero, and that happened in 2019. Thankfully, I was in Africa, and I only got to hear rumors about how the aquifer was frickin' freezing and cracking. Cooper Hawk got a couple of. I wonder how many are left. I think that's the reason my cat don't like going out anymore. A little over a year ago, two Cooper Hawks moved into the area, and last spring they built a nest up here in the woods, and then I think it was one of the babies. They got a piece of my one cat, not Puma, but Frisky, got a piece of her chunk of her back, and because the adults probably know cats aren't really their prey, you know, they're just not that good eating, and a cat's going to put up a lot worse of a fight to a bird than anything else. But those Cooper Hawks, they got a wingspan of like 6 feet. They're big birds. Not that cold. Oh, okay, so you get to zero. Zero's cold. Zero's cold. You know, but that's we get all the winters. Every winter we get down to zero and into the single digits below zero. Almost every winter we get into the teens and teens below zero. I don't know that I've ever seen a winter where we didn't get below zero. It's possible, but if there is, I don't remember it. I don't know if you've ever endured that kind of temperature, but man, oh man. it changes things once it gets into the teens below zero, you know, and colder. Oh man, it changes things a lot. You got to have a whole new set of thermal wardrobe to be able to endure that. Extra shoe size larger for your boots, so you can fit 2 pairs of good wool socks on. And you know, I got extreme cold weather thermal layers that I got from military. Those things are really good for keeping in your body heat. But your extremities, your hands, you know, the beard helps. The beard helps. This is a, you know, I used to grow a beard in the winter just for the winter time, but I never let it get real long. I'd probably let it get like this long or something. But right now my beard is like 8 inches, 7, 8 inches long. If I pull these out, it's about how long they are. It's all frizzy. It's like I got like pubes on my face, dude. That's what I feel like. But I like it. One chill factor. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. I went outside this last winter. We had it was 21 below, and we had 15, 20 mile an hour winds, straight winds. Didn't spend much time outside at all. Anyway, my battery is about to cut out, so I'm going to end the stream here. I got to go get some more water and then get back to doing some more splitting here. But thanks for joining me. Hopefully, we'll see you at another one. Peace.